Powerful programming language. So Java is basically, it is a powerful programming language. So because there are different type of scripting languages you have, right? So you have different type of markup languages, right? So and this is like programming language. Markup language is basically like HTML and all that. Scripting language basically JavaScript, VB script, shell scripting. So these are different. So different purpose. So mainly scripting languages are used. For client side validations for web designing and all that. Anyway, I'll talk about those things little later, so don't worry for now. So it is a powerful programming language. Mainly this language is mainly used in the server side applications, so to develop the business logic for the given requirements. So the real behavior, real functionality is developed using these programming languages like .NET, Python, right? So there are so many other languages. Okay, so it is a powerful programming language. Then it is open source and free. So you need not to buy a license from anybody, even now Oracle people, right? You need not to pay any money, any amount to Oracle Incorporation. It's completely free. You can download, install, and use it. Okay, no one will stop you. Next, it is object oriented. Yeah, it is object oriented programming language. It supports OOPS features. Means what? It permits you to perform standard programs. Sorry, to form standard programs and reusable code. So it's very important, guys. So any language is supporting, any programming language is supporting OOPS features like encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, so abstraction. We are going to talk about all those things. So these are object oriented programming features. If these features are supported by any programming language, you can definitely say that that is a powerful programming language. Because if you use that features, definitely you are following all the standards and you are developing wonderful code with all standards, and it can be reused. So reusability is one of the most important factors. So means you can reduce your effort when you're developing the code, and also tomorrow if any changes required, any modifications required, maybe client is asking some changes in application, means you have to change your program. So what you can do is, so rather than changing entire thing, so one time you wrote a code, that same code is used in 10 times or 20 times or 100 times. So you need not to change 100 times. Just go to one code where you have developed the code. Mostly that may be a function or that may be a method, whatever. So you'll go and change. So that change will be reflecting in all the areas wherever that code was used. So it's reusability is very, very important topic. Anyway, we are going to talk about that reusability. We'll be using it in our Selenium also. Okay. So next one, it is platform independent. So platform independent means what, guys? So you can develop the code in one operating system in your machine and you compile it. Means your high level language you are converting into machine understandable language. That's what compilation, right? So that will be converted into binary code, and that can be understood by your machine. So once you compile your code, that is a executable code. Okay. So first what you write is like a English like statements which you can understand, human being can understand. Okay. So once you compile it, means the high level language is converted into machine understandable language, that is binary coding. So means that code what you converted into machine understandable language, that is a executable code. Okay. So that executable code can be executed on your machine, on other machine. That operating system may be Windows operating system or Linux operating system or Mac operating system. Okay, so that's why here I mentioned the point. Java code runs on any machine that doesn't need any special software to be installed, but JRE needs to be presented on the mission. What exactly JRE? I'm going to talk about it right now. Don't worry. Right away, today itself, I'm going to talk about it. So for now, what you have to remember is, guys, what is JRE? Don't worry. Okay, next slide, we are going to talk about it. So for now, what you have to remember is, if I write a code in my mission, maybe I'm using Windows operating system, and once I compile that code, means if I convert that into low-level language, mission understandable language, so that is a executable code. So that code can be executed on my mission or other mission or any other operating system. Okay, so I developed in Windows operating system, but that can be executed on Linux operating system. That's why it is called as a platform independent. So the major drawback of C, C++, you know, they are platform dependent. Mainly you can use them in Windows operating system only. But whereas Java, the major advantage where people have seen, you know, you can use Java in any platform like Windows, Linux, or any other different platforms we have like Mac and all that. Okay, remember that point. So next, it is multi-threaded, means, you know, you can, like, you know, at a time 10 people can send a request, you know, to the application. That application will respond, right? So it has the potential for a program to perform many tasks at the same time. So multitasking, guys, you know, right? So multitasking can be done. For example, a general example, you know, some ladies will be cooking, right? So what they do is, to prepare a curry, some people take 1 hour, but to prepare the same curry, another person taking only 20 minutes, 30 minutes maximum. 1 hour, 30 minutes, same curry, and taste also same. Assume taste also same. Then how it is possible? Means simple, right? Some people, what they do is, slowly first they complete one task, like, you know, cutting you know, onions or, you know, mirchi, one by one they make it everything ready. Then step by step they'll be, you know, preparing the curry also. They follow some procedure. But whereas there are some folks, they'll be doing multitasking. Like first, you know, they switch on the stove, and, you know, they start with, you know, like onions, etc., and parallelly they'll be cutting, you know, tomato or something else, something like that. And, you know, they mixy and everything, you know, mixing the things and preparing a powder, etc. All those things parallelly they'll be doing. That's why so quickly they're able to complete the, you know, curry. So multitasking they are doing here. So that means the advantage is what, guys? So quickly we are getting the curry. So that is good only, right? So mainly restaurants and all, that's very important. Okay, so here multi-threading is what? So customers will be sending multiple requests. For example, let's say you are booking a IRCTC ticket, train ticket, right? Using IRCTC. So at a time, 100 people may send a request, you know, one person may send searching available trains, another person may be making a payment, another person may be registering new as a new user. They'll be doing, you know, multitasking. Different tasks, you know, they are sending to the same application. So this application, if it is not responding, like, you know, parallelly, what will happen? First, it will respond first person. Once first person response is done, then only second person, then only third person. Like that, there are 100 people. What will happen? So maybe first person quick response is getting. Second person may have to wait for 1 second. Third person may have to wait for 2 seconds. Fourth person may have to wait for 4 seconds. Like that, 100% may have to wait for 100 seconds, 1.5 minutes, you know. So will you be happy like that? No. So I want response quickly at a time. All 100 people are expecting response immediately. So means for that, application should support multi-threading. So what happens is, if one server is busy, then it will automatically connect it to the next server. So it will accept all the requests one by one and it will respond so quickly. That's what multi-threading, it is one of the most important. Mainly this is about, you know, performance, improving the performance and you know, giving the accurate result to the customers. Okay, so that is multi-threading. And then so we can develop different type of applications like desktop applications. For example, Notepad. That is desktop application. So Notepad is, guys, desktop application. Okay, and client server. So your application is in some server and you are accessing from your personal computer. So that is basically client server. So desktop application is everything is in your system. Okay, and the client server is, so you are a client and actual application is installed into one server. So which means, so from different computers, different people can access the same application. If it is desktop application, if it is installed only in your machine, only you can access it. Okay, next, web. So you know that. So it is basically distributed, right? Web enterprise applications are distributed. So means you will have application somewhere and you don't have direct connectivity with your server. So through web you are able to access that particular applications. Okay, using browsers mainly, you are able to send some request and the server is responding. That server may be in Hyderabad or Mumbai or US somewhere. So still through web you are able to access. Okay, through internet you are able to access those applications. So they are web applications. And enterprise applications also similar kind of things, guys, like so let's say bank. So bank is placed we have HDFC Bank in Hyderabad. In Hyderabad itself there are so many branches, and you have HDFC Bank in other cities or other states, even other countries also. So wherever you are, right, so you are able to access your account details, right? So that is basically, it's enterprise applications, mostly all these banking applications and all that, usually you call it as a enterprise applications. Okay, and mobile applications, yes, through your mobile, what are the applications you are able to access, all those things, and mobile apps also you are able to develop. So all these things possible, guys. So using Java you can develop your Windows or desktop applications or client server applications and web applications, enterprise applications, mobile applications, right? So different type of applications can be developed using Java. And another point is Java is case sensitive. Anyway, we are going to see that actually case sensitive means any variable you declared, like in lower case, so you have to use lower case only in rest of the program. You cannot use uppercase. So if you use small a, and you have to use small a only. You cannot use capital A. So if you use capital A, then that capital A will be treated as a new variable. So that's what it is. Anyway, I'll show you that in coming programs. So this is about Java introduction. At high level, simple. You need not to remember all these things, guys. Mostly people may not ask you all these kind of things, but still better to have this knowledge if in case someone asks you. Okay, it was introduced by Sun Microsystems and currently owned by Oracle. You need not remember the era also and all that. And basically it is a powerful programming language, and it is open source, it is free, and it is object oriented, supporting features. Whatever the OOPS features are there, it will support all those OOPS features. And then it is platform independent, so means you can use in any operating system. Okay, you can develop a code one operating system and you can execute on same operating system or other operating systems also. And multi-threading, so multitasking is possible, so that you can improve the performance and you will get the accurate results. So then we can develop different type of applications like desktop, client server, web applications, enterprise, and mobile applications. And of course, it is case sensitive. That's it. So these are the simple introduction points about Java. Next, so let's see about Java platforms. So we have different versions or different platforms, guys, in Java, like Java SE, Java EE, Java ME, and Java FX, all these things. What do you mean by all these? So Java SE is basically Java Standard Edition. SE stands for Standard Edition. Standard Edition. So what is this Standard Edition? Basically, this is used to develop Windows or desktop applications. Mainly this Standard Edition, our people call it as a core Java. So this is Amirpet terminology. Sun Microsystems or Oracle, they never call it as a core Java or advanced Java. They never use the terminology. That was named by our Amirpet people. Okay, so no one else. Purely, it was named by our Amirpet people only, but across the world, now people are using Core Java, Advanced Java. Okay, actually, there is no Core Java or Advanced Java concepts here. So, but the actually Core Java means you can, even other way, Oracle people or Sun Micro system people, what they say is that is a standard edition, which is used to develop Windows or desktop applications. So what we should know is, for Selenium also, you should know standard edition. Okay. Next, Java EE. So means EE stands for Enterprise Edition. So to develop, enterprise applications or web applications, distributed applications, right? So you may have to install Java EE. So that is to develop enterprise applications you are using. So what is that? Enterprise edition you are using. So mainly, right, the other features of Java, like JSP, servlets, right? So you are using our Spring, all those things, right? We have the latest features and all that. So mostly they all comes under enterprise edition. Okay. So enterprise edition means the advanced, you call it as advanced Java features, right? Advanced Java features. So that advanced Java features, mostly they call them as a enterprise edition. Okay. Next, Java ME. So that is micro edition. So this micro edition features are used to develop the mobile applications or applications which you can use through tab or something like that. So for that you are going to use Java micro edition. And then next, Java FX. So mostly, very rarely people will use this actually, but this is also available. This is another platform we have. So basically this will have set of graphics and media packages. So so if you want to develop any such kind of applications like graphics and all that, so you can use Java FX edition. And mostly to develop any, not sure how many of you are aware of this, APIs, we talk about web services and all that, right? So all such APIs you can develop, and you can use across wherever you want to use. All such things also possible. And for you, what is the difference here? Nothing, guys. If you have JDK, you almost have almost everything. But there will be some third party, some other supporting libraries explicitly. You may have to download and all that. Otherwise, if you have JDK, you are almost having all these things. Not only Core Java, you are not installing Core Java, guys. Here you installed JDK, means you installed almost all these features. But what you are using, basically standard edition. For example, in my system I installed JDK, so I am using Java for Selenium. But even I have developed some sample applications using Java for CI/CD purpose, right, and all that. So recently I conducted a session also. So yeah, many of you don't know CI/CD. Don't worry, guys. So I can develop my own Java application also. So I did not use only core Java. I used even some advanced features also, like I used JSP. Okay, and some other features also I used. So which means once you install JDK in your system, anyway you have all these things. This is just for your knowledge sake. Okay, so at least if someone asks you what are the different platforms you have, or different editions you have, means, so these are the things. At least first three things are important. You have to remember. Good to have that knowledge. All right. So next, what are the different Java components we have? It is very important. Everyone should have this knowledge. Okay. So what are the different Java components we have? I'll explain this, and later I'm going to talk more details, in detail about this in terms of architecture of Java and even including memory management. Okay. So mostly I talk about memory management and all that. So this is at high level. Okay. How this, Java is having a different components internally. Okay. So we have basically, guys, JDK, JRE, JVM. JDK stands for Java Development Kit. So it is basically development environment. To design or to develop your application, you need JDK on your mission. Okay. So if you are developing Java code, so you should install JDK on your machine. That is JDK. Next, JRE, Java Runtime Environment. So basically this is used for what? It is execution environment, means to execute your code or to run your applications. Okay, on your mission, I want to run my application. So then I should have JRE on my mission. And then what is JVM? So it is called Java Virtual Mission. And of course, guys, it is part of JRE, and this will take care of Java memory management and execution. Okay, JVM is the most important point here again. So interview point of view, they are asking how memory management is done in Java. So that will be taken care by JVM. Okay, if you come right side, so we have some, image here. Let's see that. So first of all, JDK. So guys, what you have to understand is, if you install JDK, automatically JRE, JVM are available in your machine. If you install JDK, automatically JRE, JVM also available. So JRE and JVM are part of JDK. Okay, that is about JDK. JDK contains mainly JRE and some Java development tools. I'll come to this part. Wait. So JDK will have mainly what? JRE and Java development tools. And what JRE will have? JRE will have JVM and Java class library. So means you might be having question, can I install only JRE on my mission? Yes, why not? JDK is not mandatory, guys. If you want to run Java applications on your mission, so somebody developed the code and that code was compiled and that code is given to you. You are not going to make any changes in the code. Okay, you just want to run that code. You want to run that code. Then if you have JRE, that is enough. But if you want to modify that code, or you want to develop any new code, or you want to add any new code, then you should have JDK also. Understood, guys? So if you have JDK, you can do everything. But I don't want to develop any code, but I want to run my code. That's it. Then you can have only JRE. That is the reason why, guys, in developer missions, assume I am a developer. Okay, I will install JDK in my local mission so that I can develop the code. It means I can develop the application and I can execute the code, which means application is running. So I can modify the code also if required. I can do all these things. As a Java developer in my mission, I need JDK because this is what I'm going to do. Okay, once I'm ready with my application, assume I tested, everything is working fine. Okay, then I want to deploy this into server so that all the customers can use this application. So server is somewhere, remote missions, right? So I hope at least some of you are aware of. So in your system, you are accessing many applications, but where they are available, guys? Somewhere in some servers. Okay, so the server also like a machine only, but it will have high configurations, so many additional features. Okay, even your machine also you can treat as a server, but that is accessible only in your mission because your mission cannot be accessed by other people, right? So other people want to access it means, so you have to make it global, available, and other people also will be able to access it. So that's how we are going to deploy this particular code into server. So in server, I'm not going to make any changes. In server, I'm going to run that particular project. Means in server, what is required, guys? Anybody? I need JDK or JRE? Guys, in server, should I use JDK or JRE?
JRE.
Yes, you are right. So even you install JDK, there is no problem. But because if you install JDK, JRE is automatically available. But actually, JDK not required, because in server we never make any changes. Changes always you do in your local system, developer will do in his local system, and that once the code is perfectly working, then that code will be deployed into server. So in server the code will be executed, and then application is running in the server, so that application you are able to access from your mission. When you say www.gmail.com, so that our local machine browser is sending a request through your internet, and it will connect to that server. Okay, and the server will respond. That's how in your browser you are able to see gmail.com, that web page. So that's how it happens. Okay, so in the server I need only JRE. So that's the difference, guys, between JDK and JRE. Next, when I install JRE, as I told, JVM and Java class libraries. So Java class, yesterday you see that, right? JRE library, right? So all I added JRE library, and you have seen that also. When I removed that, so you are getting some errors, right? So yes, that is what JRE. So libraries and all that will have, and JVM is basically, guys, it's a kind of memory management. It will take care of runtime. Okay, so we'll talk about JVM, how it will manage the memory. So you will have stack memory, right? So different type of memories are there. So we are going to heap memory, etc., etc. We have different type of memories. So we are going to talk about those memories. So that is about JRE. So the other side, so Java development tools. So Java C, Java. So do you remember yesterday I have shown you some commands from command window. So I typed Java space - version. What is that? This one, Java. Then I used for compilation purpose, what did I do? Java C. To compile my code, what did I use? Java C, and then the program and all that. So I think, did I show you? Okay, sorry, I did not show you that code, right? Only I have shown you only whether Java is installed or not. Anyway, I'm going to show you this part also. Okay, in the next coming examples, we'll see that. So these are Java documentation, everything will be available here. These are Java development tools. So if you install JDK, JRE, Java development tools are installed in your machine. So JDK I'll install if I want to develop the code and I want to run the code. Okay, if I want to run the code only, I don't do any development, then I'll install JRE. That is about Java components. Okay, so any questions so far?
Like actually, even compilation also, like it's a part of front end, or how is it?
Compilation is
taking care of that.
Compilation is part of JDK. Compilation is part of JDK.
JVM, right?
Yes. So compilation means what you are doing? Your high-level code, English-like statements, you are converting it to machine understandable. So means English-like statements means what? Where you have that statements? JDK. So your compiler, Java compiler, is part of JDK. So you got clarity?
Execution, actually, it's taking care in the sense like compilation should be done prior to that, right?
No, first you have to do compilation. First you have to do compilation. So that will be taken care in the JDK part. Once compiled, then what will happen? .class file will be generated. Okay. So anyway, actually that point I'm going to talk about. Okay. So anyway, let me tell you that. So what I'm saying is, when you write any new code, right? So what will happen is, so yesterday I wrote the code, right? Like myclass.java. So this is basically high level code. Okay. Then once you compile it, then what will happen is, this code like system.out.println, hello world, whatever, right? That code will be compiled, means converted into machine understandable language, that is binary coding, 1001, something like that, right? So once that is done, so means what is happening is the same myclass.class file will be generated. So first time it is .java file when you are writing the code. When you compile, then your JDK will convert that code into machine understandable language, and it will generate a new file called myclass.class. So file name same, but file extension is .class file. So here dot class file is a executable code. And once you have the dot class file, so this will be executed. That execution will be taken care by JRE. Okay. So, but this code above, whatever you have, that you are developing and you are compiling it, right? That is taken care by JDK. So, Java compiler is part of JDK. So, if you see that right side, Java development tools, I told, right? Java C. What is Java C here? Java C is a compiler. Okay, C stands for compilation. Okay, so Java compiler is part of JDK. Once you compile it, this dot class file, you can execute anywhere in your same mission, or you send this file to somebody else, you know, they also can execute it. And in the, I told right just now, in the server, developer will deploy the code into server. In the server, what is the code will be deployed, you know? All dot class files will be deployed into server. So in server, you will not have .java files. In server, you will have only .class files. Okay, anyway, I'm going to show you that compilation part as well. Just wait for some time. Is it clear now?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So remove this. So let's move on. I'm taking spotlight. Yes. So I'll clear this. Let me clear. Okay. So next one. So we discussed about Java components, and now let's start with Java variables. Okay guys, so actually I'm starting Java now. Okay. From here, so far whatever we discussed, just for knowledge sake, you know, so better to have that knowledge. And from here onwards, whatever we are discussing, 100%, so you should know and you should practice it. Okay, first of all, what do you mean by variable? Variable is basically, it is a container or a name of a memory location which holds data. What do you mean by that, guys? So assume here you have a memory. Okay, so here you have a memory, and there what you are doing is, in this memory you want to store some data. So whatever the data you give, right? Data is what? What do you mean by data here? The age of the customer, name of the customer, email ID of the customer, you know, when you are creating a customer. So this data details you are giving, right? That is called data. Okay, so for example, I want to store my age of the customer. So for example, customer age is 35. So this I am storing into my memory. Memory is what here? JVM will take care of that. So here for this memory, we are going to give some name. So what is that name? You know, we are going to give here. So let me give some drawing in a better way. This is what. Okay, so here memory, and then here what I'll do is I'm going to give some name. So the name is, so cust age means customer age. That is the name I am giving. So here this cust age is a variable name. This is variable name. Cust age is a variable name. What you can do with that variable? You can store data. That's what here I mentioned, right? It will hold the data. It will hold the data. That data is 35. So here it is memory. In memory, you are giving some name. So when you give the name, that will allocate, you know, some space for that variable. In that, you know, memory, you can store the data. So to make it simple, it is a container. Container means what? It can store something. It can hold something, right? So it is a container or name of a memory location which holds the data. That's what variable is. And then the data can be modified at runtime. Means it is 35. So tomorrow I want to change it to 36, right? Or I want to make it 40. So in the same variable, because for one customer it is 35. For other customer, I want to store different data, right? So I want to store 40. Then, so I can change the value. That's how you can hold some data, and that data is not permanent. So if you want, you can modify the data. So that's what variable. It's a name which is given for memory location in which you can store the data, and the data can be modified. Simple. Okay, fine. So mostly no one will ask these definitions, just for understanding. Okay, so what are the different type of variables we can use? So we have string. So what string can store? Stores text such as testing, and then string values are surrounded by double quotes. Means always string means this is how. So generally string nothing but sequence of characters. Sequence of characters. Character or characters also. If that character or characters are enclosed with the double quotations, then that is called as a string. Okay, so that is one type of data I can store. Then integer type. Okay, so stores integer values, in other words whole numbers, so without decimals, such as 123, that is positive, minus 123 negative type. So you can store this type of data. And then we have float type, so means decimal values. Okay, like 19.99 or whatever, minus 19.99. So this type of data you can store into float type. That is float type of variables. And then we have character type. So character type is basically single character that is enclosed with single quote. See here. So even A, if I give double quotations, that will be treated as a string only. Okay, string means it can be a single character, it can be a single character or more characters, but that is enclosed with double quotations. Whereas character means single character enclosed with single quote. That can be uppercase or lowercase, whatever it is. So next, Boolean type. So that is basically true or false. So this is how different type of data you can store. So you can store string type of data. You can store integer type of data. You can store float type of data, that is decimal type. And then you can store characters, and you can store Boolean values. So these are different type of data or different type of variables you are going to use. Okay, anyway, we are going to talk about data types again. I'm not talking about more about data types in Java. General type of variables I'm talking about. In any language, you will have this type of data. Okay, so next point. So now we are talking about Java data types. So before I talk about Java data types, I have to explain one example. Let me explain one example, guys, so that you can understand what exactly variable. Okay, what exactly variable. So let's go to our project. Yesterday we created one project, right? So what is the project name I gave for your batch? Yeah, Selenium project June 2020 7 a.m. Is this one? No. What is it?
August 2020.
August 2020. Yes. So this one. So let's go to the package what we created yesterday, or my class I created yesterday, right? Let us take the same thing. So here we just displayed some message now. So let's use this. Okay. So in case if you want to create any new class, you can create new class also. If you don't want to touch this, okay, leave it, no problem. Okay. So let me create a new class. So right click on this package. New, you have to select class. I'm giving, for example, variables, demo. The name I'm giving variables demo, and I want void main. Select this checkbox, say finish. Okay. So now the right side one, it's not required for me, guys. Let me have some extra space so that it is. So here, let's see how to use variables. So here I can use variables like age, okay, equal to 35. So here this age is a variable, but Java will not allow you to use variable directly like this. Always you have to say what is the type of variable. So anyway, so for now it is integer type, right? Let me give int age equal to 35. So you can give like this. Now if you want to display that value in console, so what do? System.out.println you can use. You can type it or you can follow shortcut also, guys, as I told, SYSO. Okay, and control space. When you do, you'll get this, press enter, or you can type it manually. And I'm just saying that age, that's it. So now save it. Okay, you can say Control S, or you have save options here. Now run it. So now you can see that console is showing you the value 35. Okay, so what happens is in the back end when the statement is compiled, so here your JVM will allocate a memory. Here this memory is allocated. How much memory? I'm going to talk about, don't worry. It will allocate some memory, and then you already assigned the value also. So means in that memory it will store value 35. So what is the name given here? So let me give the same thing. I said customer age. Now let's give same cust age. So now when first step is done, memory is allocated, some name is given for the memory. In that memory value assigned, that is 35. Next, when this statement executed, what will happen is with this name it will go to memory. Okay, that is JVM will take care of all these things. Okay, it will go to memory. In the memory it will search for this particular variable. Yes, it has identified. Then what it is going to do is it is going to take this value, and that value will be displayed because you are using system.out.println. Means whatever the value available here, that value will be displayed here. Understood? So that is how this statement will run. Similarly, if you want in other way, I can declare like string city. I can declare first. So the above one is one way of declaring variable. Okay, guys. So while declaring array itself, you can assign the value. That other way, first you declare variable. You are declaring the variable, and then you can assign the value in the next statement or next to next also. Anywhere you can give. And here it is a string type, right? I have to give. So in double quotations, Hyderabad. So this is how you can declare a variable, and then you can assign the data to variable, and now you can display the value of that variable. Okay, now let's run it. See 35 for this statement, and when this statement executed, it is showing Hyderabad. This is how you can declare. This is another way. And not only that, if you want to declare multiple variables, you can do multiple variables in the same line also. So let's see that. So let's say here I can give int a comma b comma c. Like this, I can declare 3 variables, and then I can assign the data. A equal to 10, and b equal to 20, and c equal to 30. Like this, I can assign the data later. And if you want to display whatever the values you want to display. If I want to display only b value, display b value. Or a value also you want to display, you can display a value as well. Like that, so you can display the values of variables. So like this you give, and then run it, guys. See what is happening here. So all the statements executed. See this, a value and b value displayed here. So this is how you can declare the variables. Okay, and then you can assign the data. So multiple variables also you can declare in single line with comma separator. Okay, and here other point I told, right? So variable is case sensitive, right? So suppose I used here small a, right? And if I try to give here capital A, so what is happening, guys? Just read that error message. A cannot be resolved to a variable. In other words, the meaning is A is not declared. as a variable. You did not declare a, that's what it is saying. So means what should I do? I have to say, if it is integer type, then I have to say int a. Okay, now you declared it. Then again still there is error. What is that it is saying? The local variable a may not have been initialized. What is local variable? Don't worry right now. I'll talk about it later. We have that concept. But what it is saying, see that a may not have been initialized. Means it is saying that, boss, you declared variable. So memory allocated variable is there. But there is no data assigned. But you are trying to display that data. How I can display that data? So it will show you syntax. Means if you don't assign value to variable, then it will not have any data. So you have to assign the data explicitly. So that's what it is. Anyway, so you understood that, right? So it is case sensitive. Java is case sensitive. Means if you use small a, here you have to use small a only. For example, here also see that, cust age above capital A I used. Maybe while typing next time, maybe I used a small a. See that you are getting error. What is that error? It is showing you syntax error. Cust age cannot be resolved to a variable. Understood? So you have to change that a to capital A. So it is case sensitive. Exactly you have to give. Okay. Even here also, guys, system. If I give small, it will throw error for me. Means it is saying what is the system? System cannot be resolved. So your Java compiler is unable to understand what is this system. So you have to give what? Yes. Okay. So this is how you can write a code and you can execute a code. Clear, guys? Any questions so far? People who are new to this Java first time. And by the way, how many of you are completely new to Java, guys, here? Completely new to Java?
Myself.
Kiran?
Anil here.
Anil? Who else?
Kiran.
Okay, at least others. Look, Ravi also new?
Yeah, I'm also.
Okay, fine. So are you able to follow?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So guys, anytime feel free to stop me in between. If something is not clear, maximum I'm trying to explain in detail. And still, if you have any questions, so please stop me in between and you can ask me questions anytime. Okay. Thank you. All right. So we have seen this code, from Eclipse, guys. Now let me show you without Eclipse how to write the code and how to execute this code if I don't use any editor like Eclipse or something like that. Is there any way? Okay, let's see that now. Yes, you can do that, guys. Normal sample programs you can write on any other editors like Notepad, Notepad++. There are so many, but Eclipse, right, mainly useful when you are working on real projects. If you want to develop a project, definitely you need editors like this. Otherwise, it's a normal program, you want to practice it. These kind of editors are not required, not mandatory. But generally, we follow this, say Eclipse or something to practice also. But you should know that without Eclipse also, you can write a code in Notepad, you can compile it, you can execute it. How to do? Let's see that. Even that knowledge also important. Let's see that. So let's open some Notepad. So here I'll show you how to write a simple code. Public class. Let me give the class name something like okay, hello is the class name I am giving. Open bracket, close bracket. So you should know syntax, right? So public class hello. Hello is the class name. Open bracket, close bracket. And then what else required? If I want to run the code, I told you, right? We need main method. So always execution starts with main method. I'm going to explain that process also, guys. So public static void main, and here string args. So later I'm going to talk about this main method also, what exactly, so here public means what, static means what, void means what is this string here, what is this args. We are going to discuss all those things one by one. Yes, so I have this statement. Now let me give simple message like system dot out dot println, and here I'll give some message. Okay, let's say hello testing folks or something like this. I'm giving some message. That's it, guys. So I have this main method. That main method is there in the class called hello. So all these spaces not required, but anyway, even you have space, not a problem. As per standards, we have to take care of all those things. I'll talk about those standards later. Okay, so once I have this code, I have to save this code as .java file. What should I do? So take file, save or save as, whatever. Where you want to save it, somewhere, you can save it into some folder. For now, I'm saving it on my desktop. So I'm giving file name same as class name. This is important point. I'm going to give the points also, guys. I'll write it in a notepad. Do the steps and I'll share the steps with you. Don't worry. So whatever the class name given, the same name you have to give here as a file name, and the file extension should be .java. File extension should be .java. Done. Save. Now you can see on desktop you will have hello.java. I hope you are able to view this hello.java. So this is the code. If I want, I can close it, and in case if I want to open it, what I can do, right click, you can say edit, or you can say open with, right? So whatever the different options you want to open, you can open with. Otherwise, for now I'm saying edit. So when I say edit, see that it is opened in the notepad. And if I want to change it, something, I can change it. Okay, so let's say one exclamation mark I'm removing, and then file, save. That's it. Anyway, the file name you already gave, extension you already gave. Simply you can say Control S, or you can say file save. No problem. So this is how you wrote a code, and that code you saved with .java extension. Most importantly, what else you have to remember is the file name what you are giving should be a class name. Okay, if you don't give like that, what will happen? I'll show you now. Right away I'll show you. Okay, once I have this program, this is Java file and it is not compiled. It is a high level programming. So if I want to run that program, first of all, what I have to do is I have to convert that into machine understandable code. So means I have to generate .class file. So means hello.class. That is the file I have to generate. Then only I can run that file. So how to do? Nothing but how to compile this code. So let's see. Go to command window. From command, they may ask you a question. How can you run Java code from command window? They may ask you guys. Okay. So go to command window. So where is my code I maintained? On my desktop, right? So better go to CD desktop. You are in desktop now, so you can directly give the file names. Okay. First of all, for compilation, what we do, guys? Java C, and you have to give hello.java. Okay. Java C hello.java. This is the command you have to use to run the to compile the Java file. Just press enter and it will compile. Means what is happening in the backend, guys? What your JDK means, your Java compiler, what it is doing? It is converting your high level English-like statements into machine understandable statements, nothing but binary coding. And once converted, that will be stored into one file called .class. See that it is generated on my desktop. Hello.class. Even you cannot see that code actually. Even you try to open it. If you try to open it, edit with Notepad++, I'm opening it. Let's see. You will not understand anything here. It will open something, guys. You will not understand anything, frankly speaking. Okay, something it is showing you, but that is completely wrong statements. You cannot view that actually. But anyway, so .class file generated. So this .class file is a executable code. This is the executable code. Now you can run that code. So how to run that code? For that, Java, you can do hello, or even you can say hello.class. Actually .class also not required. So directly you can say Java hello. Now say enter. Java hello. .class not required actually. So hello testing folks. See that message displayed. So to compile Java C hello.java and to execute Java hello, the file name. That's it. So this is how you can compile your code and you can execute your code. So let's say, guys, for example, let me open this file and here I'll make some mistake. Let's say I'll remove this semicolon. I will remove this semicolon. Control S. See, I removed the semicolon here. So actually semicolon meaning is that says end of the statement. Wherever you use semicolon, that means that statement is ended. That is the meaning. Okay. So here you did not end the statement. So compiler will not be able to understand. So let's see now what will happen. Now again, so let me use Java C hello.java. Now I am compiling it. Okay. I updated and I saved the file. Let me enter. See that, guys, hello.java is the file name. At line number 4, there is error, that is semicolon expected. And again, it is showing here one error, but statement showing, see that this mark are able to see. So here it is saying that semicolon is missing. Okay. So this is called compiler error or syntax error. Okay. So you could not compile the code. Okay, so here it is already generated, right? Let me remove that file. I removed the file. So what will happen now? Will I be able to run this code? See, again I am compiling. So you are getting error. So .class file generated here? Not generated. See, because there was a compilation error. So that .class file not generated. I removed it and I tried compiling again, guys. So I want to show you if compilation not successful. So will it generate .class file means no. If compilation successful, then only .class file is generated. Now I have to go back and then correct the code, right? And then I'm saying Control S, or you can say file save also, and you can close the file or you can minimize, no problem. Now again compile it. Java C hello.java. Press enter. See that no errors now, and you can see that hello.class is generated. Now you can go and run the code. So Java hello. See that? Hello testing folks. Understood, guys? So this is how you can write code and you can compile the code and you can execute the code. So any questions?
What purpose of this thing to run the command?
Sorry?
What is the use of the running command prompt? Java.
See, that's what, right? Somebody shared a code to you. Okay, they compiled files and they shared the code to you, and you want to run that. You don't have Eclipse in your mission. Okay, you don't have Eclipse and you don't have any other editor. So, and I want to run that particular code. So will I be able to execute means why not? You can execute. So from command window also you can execute the code. So it's not mandatory. So if you want to run, this is the option you have.
So you can like a JVM also it's useful, right?
In the backend, it is using JVM only. Right? See, now I should have that JDK installed in my system. See, Eclipse is editor only, but if I want to write the code and compile it, though you write a code in Notepad, that is okay. But how the compilation will happen? Compilation will not happen if you don't install Java in your system. Okay, if you don't install Java in your system, it will not run. So what is happening here, I am using Java C, Java, all these things, right? Where these commands are available. So what will happen in the backend, here, this my operating system, it will take this Java C and it will find what is this Java C. My operating system doesn't have any knowledge. So then what my operating system will do? It will go and check in the environment variable what I have shown you yesterday. So it will go to right click, properties, and then advanced system settings. You have this recording also, guys. Yesterday I shared it. Environment variables, there is path, edit, and here if you see, what is that? C program file Java JDK 1.8 bin. So it will go and check in all these paths, but finally it will find my Java C command in this path. Let me go to this path. I'll show you this path. Take that path, like whatever, assume I am operating system. Okay, assume I am a operating system. So I will go and search for this path, and here I will see Java C. Okay, so here Java C is available. Now my operating system could find Java C, and when you have this Java C, right? So that Java C purpose, it understood, it will run this, simply it will run the Java C statement. So that is what happening when you run this statement, Java C, and then hello.java. So this is fine, Java C identified. Then what is hello.java? Where is this? So where is this? First, straightforward, it will go and check in my current directory. What is the current directory you mentioned? Desktop. Suppose if I don't give desktop here, let's go and see here, Java C, hello.java. What it is saying? File not found, hello.java. Because you did not mention the path. So then what should I do? I have to give Java C, and in double quotations, I have to give the complete path. See, and then here I have to give path like, whatever the path, see, program files, or what is that actually, users, right? So, and here 770 something, whatever, right? And then here desktop, right? So then you give hello.java. So you have to give the entire path. So now you run it, it will work. So that's why the other alternative for you is what? So if you want to use it, cd desktop. Anyway, this is my working directory. So better you set the path first, and now you can use all your commands. Now see that Java C hello.java, it will work. Okay, so that's how. So this Java C, it has to find, means where it can find, if you install Java and that path is mentioned in the environment variable. So this is the Java installed path. See that JDK in that bin. Okay, JDK is the folder, in that I have bin. So it is installed, and that path I mentioned in the environment variable. So this is how it is going there and finding it. Okay, and hello.java is in my current directory. It will go and see the file. If it is available, it will run. Otherwise, it will give some error saying that file not found. Clear?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So any other questions, guys? No questions? Great. So, but guys, this is, knowledge, if you have, that is enough. Like, at least you should know, yes, I can run the code from command window also without using Eclipse. You understood? But generally, so we always use Eclipse to develop the code and to execute the code. But here I am not doing explicit compilation, right? So my Eclipse will do compilation automatically. Whenever I write a statement, it will do compilation automatically in the backend. So that's what advantages we have with Eclipse. So if any mistake, if it is unable to compile, see that it will show you error. See that what is that it is saying? Syntax error. So here it is saying that this statement is missing, right? This statement is missing. That's what it is saying. So same. So compilation is done automatically. All right. That is about writing a sample Java code and then compiling it, executing it from command window, how to do, and then we have seen the same thing in Eclipse as well. So looks like somebody raised your hand. Anil, did you raise?
Yeah. So I have a question actually. So it means like, for every line of code in Java, especially when we are using this Eclipse editor, the compilation will take the place and will throw the error if it is not, as per the standard or as per the guidelines. This is what actually you're saying, right? Correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, good.